Hello and welcome to another Adventure Habits with me, David Overton, and Splash Maps, where we believe that maps should always be printed on fabric. I'm absolutely delighted to have someone with me that we're sponsoring for a major event that's coming this year. So already this year we've supported Amara Automotive on their round the world trip and a brand new prototype electric car. We've sponsored Prison Break, the ultra marathon that leaves from Dartmoor Prison. We sponsored Peak Planet and invited them onto our stand at the Destination Show and the Larg Sailing Club events. Dermot Cosgrove at the moment is walking across Iceland following one of the maps that we made specially for him. And of course, Jordan Wiley discovered new mountains in Antarctica following a splash map earlier this year. But top of the tree is someone who's been a big fan of ours for 10 years, someone we've worked with, for more than half of Splash Maps' existence. I want to say a really big thank you and a welcome to the only second American guest we've had on this 35 episode show. And I want to welcome to you Anglotopia's Jonathan Thomas. Jonathan, say hello to everybody here.
Hi, David. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here, and as we were just saying beforehand, we're now in the weird position that we've known each other for a decade, and you first came onto our site and ordered Hadrian's Wall, Cotswolds Way, all these long distance routes to sell in bulk through your website to your American brethren. Who love all English stuff. So, Jonathan, just tell us what is Angletopia and how did it come about?
So, Angletopia is what I like to say is the world's largest website dedicated to all things British, and it has a funny origin story. It started in a closet in Chicago in 2007. When I was browsing the internet and I could not find a resource for British stuff that was ticking all my boxes. I've been obsessed with British stuff since I was a kid. I love Great Britain. I've traveled there many times and I wanted more information about it and I just couldn't find it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a website. And so I started Angletopia in this closet in the vain hope that it would maybe make me some extra money because I was just out of college and I was broke. And my job didn't pay me enough money. And I was like, maybe if I do this new blog thing, maybe I'll make some money. And well, here I am 19 years later, and this still a going concern.
Yeah. I mean, and quite a concern as well, really. I mean, I guess I wouldn't say I was there at the early stages 10 years ago. I mean, it goes back a good amount longer than that. And I mean, how did you find that you were really, How did you become the meeting point for Americans wanting to find out more about Britain? And what is it more that they want to find out about?
Well, a lot of American Anglophiles, they get exposed to British stuff through movies and TV shows. And so that's kind of where we started. We talked about Doctor Who. We talked about British movies. I was an English major in university, so we talked about British literature. And those things kind of it became what I like to say, growth by osmosis. People kind of found us. And a few years after we started the website, we started a Facebook page. And that Facebook page kind of rode the social media wave. And so it became a community and gathering place for people who liked British stuff. And before we knew it, we had almost 200,000 fans on Facebook. And that was back in the day when that mattered and you could reach all those 200,000 people with a post. Yeah. And so we just kind of, people are looking like we'll just kind of stick to travel. For people looking for travel information, for many people who are Anglophiles, they may only get to travel to Britain a few times in their life. And so they want to make it really worth it. And so that's kind of how we've geared our content. We gear our content towards things that Americans should absolutely see and do when they go to Britain. And they're not necessarily things that are the normal touristy things. I mean, we've got tons of stuff about London. We have a whole website dedicated to London, but we try to encourage our readers to be temporary locals and get outside of London and find a base in the countryside and sort of inhabit Britain instead of just visiting it for a few days.
Yeah, I mean that's it. To soak up the culture and all of that sort of stuff. And I mean, listening to your podcast, you get some amazing people on there, and the depth of knowledge and is so much there for things like the history of Britain, and not just the kings and queens, but all the other bits and pieces. I was listening into one on all your you came up with your, it seemed like a top 100 books of British history, and I was thinking, wow, these guys are pretty well read, and really pleased to see a couple of my favourites in there. I think Bill Bryson always writes about British people the way that they like to be written about, which is like that we like to have the Mickey taken out of us mainly. I think that's where Bill Bryson fits in, and The Last Wolf, which really about how Britain became what it is today, really through the decision to kill off all the wolves. So that was fascinating. And your trips to Britain, you've obviously picked up a lot of your knowledge from your visits to Britain, but this time, we have a joint venture together.
Yeah.
We're helping you to walk along Hadrian's Wall. We're launching our latest map in our challenge series. So there's going to be a Hadrian's Wall map that comes out, and it will be available via the link on this blog for the first time. And that's the latest in our series of long distance trails, a lot of which I know that you've picked up from us back from our Harvey Maps day. So, your purchasing was really well timed on that. You got some unique one-offs, basically, when you made that order. But tell us a little bit about that. Why the fascination with Hadrian's Wall, and what exactly will you be doing?
So I've wanted to walk Hadrian's Wall for 15 years, and any longtime followers of Angletopia would know that I've started the training and the planning for it multiple times, and for whatever reasons it didn't happen, and I think first it's the allure of Hadrian's Wall. It's this ancient Roman structure. Much of it is largely still there, and it goes from coast to coast in England. And I know the wall doesn't anymore, but the trail does. And so that Roman history, the idea that I can sort of commune with 2,000 years of Roman British history, like that's the mystique there is so fascinating. And because I live in LaPorte, Indiana. We were founded in like the 1830s. That's the extent of our history. We don't have ancient structures from 2,000 years ago down the street. And another aspect of it is this idea that I can walk from coast to coast of an entire country. Obviously,
it's harder to do in the States, right?
Yeah, America is very big. If you said you were going to walk from the East Coast to the West Coast, someone would probably have you sectioned in a mental institution if they still do that, because the idea is insane. I mean, it's 4,000 miles. Like, who would do that? But, walking, I think it's 84 miles seems much more achievable. And I know that's not even the longest coast-to-coast path available in Britain. So it's that the idea that I can start in a city, walk out of the city, and walk across the country, commune with Roman history, and it has that appeal. And then the final thing is much more personal. My health hasn't been great in the last few years. I've got high blood pressure. I've got severe sleep apnea, and so training for this walk has substantially improved my health. Just because I cannot count on my body to walk 84 miles in 10 days without training for it in advance. And so I've had to walk almost every day for the last year getting ready for this. And it's substantially improved my health. I've lost weight. My wife says I'm not snoring as much anymore when I sleep, and I overall feel a lot better. And I'm not even gone on the walk yet, and so I'm already feeling the positive effects of just planning for this. And so putting it on the calendar. So what happened was last summer, I was like, you know what, this is ridiculous. I need to do this walk. I want the excuse to spend several weeks in England doing it. And so I'm like, you know what? I need to find a partner for this. And so and I hope you don't mind if I mention Max Adventure. They said we would love to work with Angletopia to market our products to them, and we will sponsor the walk for you. And so I was like, well, if you're going to sponsor the walk, then I have to go. I have to go. And so
And Max do a great job, don't they, of organising almost like solo adventures or long distance walks, and they'll work out the trails and the accommodation, etc., along the way.
yeah, yeah, they've done a fantastic job. They've been a great partner, and they've planned my whole route. They've planned all where I'm going to stay every night. I just have to show up and start walking. And so it's basically been my essentially part-time job since then to get into shape so that I can do this walk. And it's been challenging. It's been hard. I know some people might roll their eyes like it's hard for you to get up every day and go for a walk. Well, yeah, it is. It is hard. I mean, I've got a family. I've got kids. I've got kids in school runs. I work for my own business. I also work for my wife's business. She's running a business. Like, there's a lot going on, and it is unbelievably difficult to find a couple hours every day to go for a walk. And I haven't been able to do it every day, but it's going
that
well.
act of sticking something in the diary,
Yes.
and then starting to put the plans together, etc. I love the fact that that's actually driven you into a better set of health practices before you go
Yeah.
and have the adventure, because in many respects, I mean, so many people say that on this podcast that you need to have a non-negotiable in your calendar. That's the weekend I'm going away. Nobody's touching that. If you want to come with me, you can come. If you don't, that's fine. Stay behind. I'm going. And that's a kind of, once you got that in place, then a lot of the other things just sort of follow along. It will seem like it's automatically, but of course it does involve a lot of planning and stuff.
And as I said, like you said, getting it on the calendar was the first step, because I don't have a choice. So I have to get ready for this. And also, even when it got on the calendar and they sponsored the walk, I still didn't have all the other elements in place. How am I going to get a plane ticket? How am I going to buy the train tickets to get up to Newcastle, and all the other things associated with it? And that's why I was thrilled that you guys came on as a sponsor as well, because you've helped fill in. You've fallen into place at the exact right time, and I'm very grateful for that.
Well, you're very, very welcome, and we're more than delighted to help out with it. And I guess you've got one sponsor that's helping you get from A to B, and one sponsor that's actually showing you where you are on your travel from A to B. So yeah, let's bring that on. And we're absolutely delighted that you're. I mean, it's a bit embarrassing that you're the second American interviewee I've had on this. We have had short snippets from them at our launch from Boston at the Boston Outdoor Expo last year. We had Liz Dernstein, who's the fastest person ever to do the Appalachian Trail. She did it in something mad like 50 days. And if you think about the pace that she's going at over 2,500 miles, roughly 2,700 miles, I think it is, then she was really going at it some speed. But we're now getting, just in the recent, obviously you've helped us tap into the American market with what you've been doing, but it now accounts for some months it's 30% of our income now is from the States. So it's odd that we don't have more Americans on. So when you came along, and we thought, right, okay, so that's the one that we can sponsor. And so we're absolutely looking forward to that. End of August, and then the pods going out shortly after that through September, I think.
Yeah, do we want to tell them what they can expect?
Yeah, sure.
So,
do you want to fire away with that?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a 10-episode podcast series on the walk, and it's mostly gonna be as I'm walking. Every night I'm gonna record thoughts and stuff and summaries of the day, and then when I get back, we'll edit it all together, and then we'll release 10 special episodes outside of our regular podcast cadence that will be all about the walk. And I'm not sure on the length at this stage, but we're hoping, 20, 30 minutes an episode, but I have a tendency to drone on, so they may be longer. And the goal is to kind of give people a day by day, blow by blow thing, what it's like to go on a long distance walk like this, especially if it's not something that you normally do, which it's not normal for me to go on a 10-day walk across the country. And so there's going to be a lot of new experiences I can't even predict yet, and everybody will get to come along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, on these long distance trails, there are so many more encounters that you're going to get than you would, in normal life. You'll love it. You'll love it. And I've never done Hadrian's Wall, but I'm really interested to watch you do it. So,
well, hopefully we encourage a lot of people to do it after they've seen our project together.
I hope so. Like you say, for people coming from the States, it's a big journey. So you want to make the most of it when you come across, and to know that there's a variety of actually quite doable long distance trails in the UK. We do have a wonderful set of rights of way right across the United Kingdom, even if you didn't want to do those ones. And quite often you'll find yourself on a right of way that goes through a lot of private property that you just don't imagine you could go on, but it's all perfectly mapped here. And come to the UK, get a decent map, off you go. I won't say which map you should get, of course.
Well, that's actually one of the problems I've dealt with training is, even though I live near a national park, I really struggle to find long distance paths to train on that are relatively close. And I've told my wife more than once, I'm like, man, if we just lived in England, I would just be able to walk out my front door and go on a long distance walk to train for this. But here, I have to either walk down my street. I live in the country, so they're rural roads, but they're very dangerous to walk along, or I have to drive to one of the parks, and even then the routes are only 4, 5, 6 miles. I need to start clocking 10, 15-mile walks, and I'm really struggling to find places to do that.
Isn't that strange? I guess we're defined by our constraints in this country, completely surrounded, being a small island surrounded by lots of water. We treasure the freedoms that we've got. Where I guess in the USA you've got a lot more space, and so maybe it doesn't seem like it's the top on the town planner's priority list. But yeah, I mean, love it while you're out here, and let everyone know about how wonderful it is.
Well, one more thing, if you don't mind. My hope is that when I have done this walk, it's actually going to be the first of a yearly excuse to come do a long distance walk in England. I'm already eyeing the Cotswold Way. So.
Oh, fantastic! Well, I had noted that was, when you bought that Hadrian's Wall way, and knowing that it was with a kind of 15-year plan in mind, then. Cotswold's Way is coming up. That's in the pipeline, and there's further stuff as well with more small scale, long distance style maps for all the UK and the rest of the world. So watch that space. Now, Jonathan, I've tempted you on here. It's not called the Adventure Habits Podcast out of ignorance, and for people who come on this show, we're really interested in you as a person. I think we can see now that you're well qualified to have some adventure habits that we could all benefit from. So if you've got them listed down in a list of 1 to 5, which is your first adventure habit?
Well, we've kind of already talked about it, but it's training. You need to get physically ready for the adventure you want to go on. You mentioned Bill Bryson earlier, and we all love his Walk in the Woods book, and he literally undertook a 2,000-mile walk without even really preparing for it, which made the book hilarious. But I would never undertake such an undertaking without at least preparing for it first. And so that's what I've been
If you
doing.
was to do that again, by the way, Jonathan, just to break you in there, we do actually have an Appalachian Trail map on the site now. So, if Bill, you want to have another go, you know, you know where to come.
So yeah, but just get ready for it, because if you're not ready, you're gonna have to call mountain rescue on your walk of Hadrian's Wall, and I don't want to have an embarrassing situation.
Well, they're great people at Northumberland Search and Rescue. So they're people we serve with maps as well. So they'll be able to find you fine. But yeah, try not to call them out, Jonathan. And so you're at the moment, your preparation is obviously you're finding some trails to go on, but what does it look like?
So I'm trying to do just a walk down my street every day for a couple miles, just to keep my baseline physical fitness. And then on the weekends, I try to go on longer distance walks. And so pretty soon I need to start doing a midweek long walk as well, according to my training regimen I set up. But like I said, I live near a national park, so there's some great 4, 5, 6 mile trails, and some of them are pretty strenuous. So I'm well aware that the landscape of Hadrian's Wall it goes up and down quite a bit. So I'm trying to include. We're in northern Indiana is famous for the Indiana Dunes, so we do have some trails that go kind of up and down with some varied terrain. So I'm trying to introduce that as well to kind of get my body ready.
Yeah.
Whether it's ready or not, we'll see.
Well, good. Well, look, good luck in that training. And
Yeah.
well, what would be your next adventure habit? Your number two?
I would say don't give yourself the option to not do it. That's the key thing. As in, once the thing is set on this calendar and you're doing it, don't give yourself any excuse to get out of it. And also don't give yourself any excuse to get out of the training for it, because if you have to do it, you also have to be ready for it. And so you just have to kind of change your mindset, because it's really easy to wake up and go, "Oh, I don't want to go for a walk today. Oh, it's raining today. I don't want to do it." Well, it's super easy to not do something. It's really hard to make yourself do it. And so you just have to kind of give yourself not the option. You just have to do it.
Fantastic. And is that whenever I do these things, I always notice that it's peer pressure that affects me more than anything else. I've told a bunch of people I'm going to do it, and then they start asking
Yeah.
every now and then, "You back off."
How's it going? Yeah, and
Well, I find that drives me on. I don't know if it's a sense of guilt or something, but there's something there that once other people know about it,
yeah, it's that. Like I said, we have a membership club for Angletopia, and I've been giving semi-regular updates on my training and the planning of this trip, and so I've got people kind of looking forward to following the journey, and they're counting on me to do it. And not only that, Max Adventure is counting on me to do it. You're now counting on me to do it, and so I don't have a choice. I've got to do it. And
Okay.
I've got my wife telling me, checking in on my training, making sure I'm on track. And yeah, you've got to be held accountable, because it's easy to get stuck in your own head and convince yourself to slide. So
Yeah, yeah. But it's good. It's like like we were saying earlier on, the non-negotiable.
yeah.
It's going to be there. Yeah, it has to be dealt with, and then that leads you on to your planning, which was habit number one. But what's habit number three, Jonathan?
So it would be to pick something fun and interesting, because it's going to take a lot of time and effort to do the thing. You need to at least be interested in it. I mean, I know plenty of people who go on walks just to go on walks, but for me, it needs to be interesting. It needs to be a big deal. And so, for Hadrian's Wall, I'm really interested in the history. I'm really interested in the landscape, and I'm really interested in it having an experience that I can't have walking out of my door here in Indiana. So it's gotta be a thing people write books about, so that you stay interested in it, as I like to say.
Well, yeah, and so many books about that. And you're right, 2,000 years of history is that gives you quite some perspective when you're out there, I bet. And well, I mean, I'm about to head out to Italy and see some of the Sicilian ruins and things like that. But the thing that's piquing my interest most there is the Second World War stuff and SAS landings and the Allied troop landings in the bit of the war that's not talked about as often as the the Normandy landings, etc. So I'm quite fascinated to get down to that bit. And while my family are lying around on beaches and that sort of stuff, that's probably what I'll be doing, pretending to lob grenades in places and things like that. So superb. So that's picked something fun and interesting. And for you, history piques your interest. That seems it. Did you say you were an English literature major? Was that
Yes.
Your
University.
education? And did that give you an interest in the history, or did the two things work the other way around?
I already had the interest, so it was more like what college degree can I do to keep my interest? So, because the school I went to was famous for engineers, and so I was the guy that was getting a degree in English from an engineering school. So,
the outcast.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And do you have like Scottish roots or something? Is it?
Well, I mean, I have red hair and pale skin, so probably.
I wasn't going to say anything, but it did look like there might be a connection there.
Yeah, and then I did trace some ancestry a few years ago, and some of my ancestors came from Durham, and came from a village called Shincliffe, and so I'll be walking through a landscape they would have been familiar with.
You will be, yeah. That's that does bring you back. Okay, well, keep looking for that. You know the actual village there.
Yeah, I've been there actually. It's charming.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
it's always good if you come from somewhere charming. So
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
great. Well, that brings us on to habit number 4. Now we've got some training, and we've got don't give yourself the option to give up, and pick something that's fun and interesting. You've definitely done that. So what's number 4?
So number 4, and I guess I'll go back to when we first started working together. Buy the maps. Buy the relevant maps for the adventure you want to go on. And so, when I stocked your maps in our store, well, gee, I happened to keep an extra one of every one I bought for me. Owner's prerogative. And also, and I don't know if you mind if I mention, but I always buy the Ordnance Survey map for the places I'm going.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's why we site center Ordnance Survey maps on our fabric for
Yeah.
wherever you want in Great Britain, and it is always important for that extra detail. They are. We sell USGS maps as well, but for currency and color and it's really difficult in the world to come up with better mapping than they do. So shout out to Ordnance Survey. They just happen to be one of our biggest licensors. So
Oh, and I not to sing their praises too much, because the maps are beautiful. They're beautiful to look at, and that helps me mentally prepare for where I'm going, because it helps me route where I'm going in the local geography. I can see all the footpaths. I can see all the monuments. I can see the terrain, and I even have the Ordnance Survey app. It's just the app. The maps are beautiful, and I've got a whole shelf full of them off screen here. You can't see them. I even have all the maps for all of Hadrian's Wall. One time when I first, like 10, 15 years ago, when I first started wanting to do this, I set them all out in sequence, and it took up my entire basement floor, and I could follow the path.
you did the walk in 1 to 25,000
Yeah,
scale.
yeah. So,
Well, that's great. They always say that it's the getting the map is the first time you live the adventure, really.
yeah,
And
I
the
like
second
that. Yeah.
time you're actually there, breathing the stuff, and it's all around you, and all that history as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, great. Well, like I say, there's a new version of Hadrian's Wall map.
I can't wait to see it.
one that we produced. Yeah, and find it on the link below or above or wherever we're going to put it. Okay, and Jonathan, so we've got our map now. What's habit number 5?
So, more practical. less philosophical, is you can't really over prepare for this. So I've noticed this when I go on my local walks so I bring a backpack with me now that has a water bladder in it. I got to have plenty of water. I got to stay hydrated. I don't normally get hungry while I'm walking, but I do get really hungry when I'm done. So I tend to bring either a lunch with me or I bring a protein bar, because if I don't want to collapse because I'm too hungry, because the walking is part of a weight loss journey. So I do have to watch what I've eaten and make sure that I don't go for a 10-mile walk and not be have adequate sustenance. Make sure my phone is fully charged, and hiking boots. I've learned more about hiking shoes and hiking boots in the last year than I ever thought I would know. Because when you have proper shoes, your feet should not hurt when you finished your walk. You should be sore, but your feet should not be in pain. So I've gone through quite a different types of shoes. I don't know how many you want me to recommend, because the U.S. market is so different than the British market. But having
might not translate.
having good walking shoes for easy flat trails and roads, and then having good hiking shoes for the trails. I'm a fan of Columbia for those types of shoes. For walking on paved trails, New Balance, which is I don't know if you guys have those in Britain.
Oh
but
yeah, we've got both those. My running shoes and New Balance. I think,
yeah,
so.
they make phenomenal, comfortable shoes for they're not necessarily for walking. They're running shoes, but they're great for walking because of the cushioning. And I've not had any foot problems with proper footwear. And so do the research, spend the money for good shoes.
Oh, that's great. And can I just suggest that you look for the waterproof symbol on them for walking Hadrian's Wall? It's
I'm gonna have to buy new hiking boots before I go. The hiking boots I bought a few months ago, which I thought were waterproof, turned out to not be waterproof after I walked through a swamp.
There we go. Sometimes you only find these things out by your own trial and error. But you go down the right tracks. We've got a number of. It tends to be the military guys that put their kit through the most. And so two I can remember: John Blashford Snell, who is a very famous adventurer here in the UK. He told me it's boots. If there was one thing you look after, that was his one adventure habit he had was, look after your feet. And that is get the boots, make sure they do the stuff that you need them to do, then walk in them for a month before you actually go at least a month before you actually go, just so they're all softened up. And I know exactly what it means. If you go off straight into an 80-mile walk and you've got boots you haven't tried out before, you'll get sores where you wouldn't get sores if those boots were just another month older, if they've been used in a bit. And then the other one, it's from Beyond the Barracks, Allsop. So it's a member of a former member of the SAS, and her advice was, have your boots, but make sure that you've got something to change into as well, because the worst thing in the world is like spending your evening wearing the same boots and you've been walking around in all day.
That's good. Yeah. I didn't think of that. Yeah.
So 2 bits of advice to tag on to your 5 adventure habits there. As a quick recap for you. So number 1 habit is get that training in, and if you're doing a long distance walk, then get in as much walking as you can. Don't give yourself the option not to do it. And so that's like your non-negotiable. I will be doing these walks and I will be getting prepared for it on the way. And then the rest of your life will fit around that. Pick something fun to do. And I can't imagine anything much more fun than doing Hadrian's Wall, particularly if you're a history buff like your good self. And then buy maps. And the more beautiful they are, the better. And, I'd add to that, probably the more convenient in use. Here's my ordnance survey right round my neck at the moment. So that works out well. And then you can't over-prepare. So just make sure all the stuff is there for you, ready to go. Jonathan, it sounds as if you're going to absolutely ace this thing. Is that what's going to happen?
I hope so.
Well, I just really want to thank you once again and say how pleased we are to be able to have the opportunity to sponsor you to do this amazing walk. All the listeners, the best way to stay in touch with what Jonathan's doing, there'll be a link to Jonathan's podcast in the show notes, but there'll also be an opportunity for you to sign up to our email letters so that you can actually know what's happening next and the growth of that challenge series of maps and our new series of scales for right across the UK and the rest of the world. Jonathan, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for spending your time with us today.
Thank you for having me, David, and thank you for helping make this happen.
Okay. Well, bon voyage.